Ladies and gentlemen, the long-awaited, highly anticipated return of the Tampa Bay Hall of Famer, our very own Jimmy DiNobile, ladies and gentlemen.
All right.
Top of the morning to you. Top of the morning.
Yes, sir. Good day. Good morning.
Yeah.
How we doing, Kevin?
Well, I got the gout. I got the gout flare up again. And I really thought I could get by with the pizza and the root beer this time. I really did. And
Well, I got plenty of ailments, but we only got about 11 minutes, so.
Boom. All right then. That's beautiful. Okay. Yeah. Jimmy, you're on.
Yes, sir. All right, Kevin. Thanks for having me back. Love listening to all the starting 11s that we've been doing, and I just want to jump back to yesterday's number 51 and give a shout out and thanks to Ryan Helfrich, the Tampa Bay Rowdies president down here in Tampa Bay and St. Petersburg. Ryan is he's a wonderful human being and doing so much for soccer and doing so much for the Champions League in our area here. And we're blessed to have him. I've known him when he first came to the Rowdies. I think it was 2011, and he started in ticket sales. And we've stayed connected and worked together and got to know each other. And he is a gem.
Yes.
And him and the coach, Dominic Casciato, came over when we did the selections for the upcoming season, for which here in Florida starts in the early winter. I'll say they'll start practicing in October. But thank you, Ryan and the Rowdies, for all your great work and support of the Champions League as well as our game in the area. They're just, I can't say much. And the coach, Dominic, excellent coach, great guy. But what I like about Dominic is he came through our system. I mean, he's English. He has an Italian father, but he came to the States and went to college at a small NAIA school. And he grew up as coaching in our system and has worked his way up. I believe he coached some in college at St. John's, and then he coached the Brooklyn Italians in New York City in their league, then got into the USL, and now he's here with the Rowdies, and couldn't be happy with his. And he's a big supporter of the Champions League as well. So just a big shout out to those two gentlemen. I really appreciate them.
And Jimmy, please, I'll give you a minute, but I want to take a moment to stand up and applaud those two gentlemen.
Yeah.
You know, the organization, the Tampa Bay Rowdies, magnificent. Mm-hmm. Okay, Jimmy, it's all yours.
Thank you, sir. There's a lot going on. We've got 100 games in for the World Cup with 4 to go, starting today, Tuesday, and we'll see what happens from here. But there's a lot happening. We could, as we probably already have around the country and the world, talked about all the different nuances, both on and off the field. But I want to focus on today from a comment that was made to me by a referee who is also a relative of mine up in Rhode Island. Louis DiNobile, he's been a long-time ref. He played, and going back to one of our previous podcasts, he was a senior when I was a freshman, and I've always looked up to him as a man and in the game, and I learned a lot from him. And we were going back and forth about the World Cup, and I asked him what he thought. But he made one comment that really struck a chord with me, was that trying to referee high school games after a World Cup is always a challenge for a lot of different reasons. And I'm going to focus on the 5 points and see if we can make some sense of this, and as we go forward, because we've certainly had some high points, we've had some other points, and some things that we got to get better at. But that's with everything, and we'll proceed. The first one, let's talk about the integrity and fairness of the game. And a lot of this is coming back from the International Football Association board. And as we all know, there's 17 laws of the game, and here's an SAT word for you, Kevin, and everybody, and probably good for Ziggy Nagel and Eddie O's counseling services. Colloquially, there's a law 18, which it's colloquially means that it's unwritten, but it's accepted that common sense in applying the laws is something that we want to always maintain. And exactly what does that mean? Well, I think it means that we want to do it with the highest regard of integrity for the game and fairness to the game and the laws in this beautiful game. It's called a beautiful game because it is fair and it should have high integrity. But there's a lot of things that creep in, and some of it we've seen that can be a little scratching of the head type thing. And we've seen it, seems forever, and I think a lot of us would agree that a lot of the embellishment and simulation of different aspects of the fouls and the laws, we have to do something about it. We have to get better at it, in as much as how we stick to that tenet of the IFAB, because if we start to lose that, then we start to lose the beauty of the game. And we never want to lose that, because that's what connects us. That's what has brought us all together for this World Cup. And as we know, it's been a beautiful thing with, the Norwegians with their row, and with the Scots having their fun up in Boston, and all the different international teams that have come together, and the international peoples. So it's very important that the integrity of the game and the fairness of the game is maintained. Because as we know, the high school soccer is going to start right away. Here in Florida, I mentioned that it starts training in October, the games start in November. So it's an early winter season. But up north, in the Northeast, where I played my high school soccer, it starts right away in August. And as well as in St. Louis, where, the players are going to be back on the field. Now, the young ladies start in the spring in St. Louis, but the impressionable 13, 14, 15 through 18-year-olds, they need to understand, that there's a certain level of integrity that goes into the game and fairness that has to go into the game. So when we look at these games, we have to, as the coaches, as the educators, keep that in mind, and how we handle the game going forward. The second will be respect. And I'm going to reference our young player, Balogun, and how he handled himself after that infamous red card. I don't want to get into the nuances of that. That's a discussion for another time. But that young man, I'm so impressed with. I mean, obviously we're impressed with his ability to score goals and his work rate and his ability to play the game, but how he handled it in the moment, and then afterwards talked about it in the press and social media, and he referenced that we have to be role models, and this is straight out of his mouth. And I said, wow, good for you, Balogun. And he's a player that's destined for some great more games, both nationally and in his club level. It'll be interesting to see where his journey takes him. But if we want to model somebody and how they handle themselves, for both with the game and the laws of the game, and then, as we know, post game in the social media uh, galaxy that we have to encounter daily. I am so proud to be American when I see that young man play and how he handles himself, and a lot of his teammates as well. They did a great thing. Number three, the laws of the game are there for the safety and well-being of the players. Um, Again, as we know, there's 17 and of them, and they're designed to allow the game to carry on, but most importantly, control the game and control it in a manner that the safety of the participants of the game are always being attended to. Um, the game is the same. The principles are the same. As you go up in levels of the game, the speed of play, the speed of thought, the speed of the game, the intensity carry up the ladder. But the principles are always the same. And I think in order to have a good game, we have to protect the players. We have to take care of the everybody involved in the game so that we can continue to enjoy the game. There's nothing worse to have a player get an injury from, and injuries are going to be part of the game. It is a contact sport, but we've got to use the laws to protect the players. And I'll make a little bit of a statement a little bit later on about that. And then number four, as we kind of build on these, is that the enjoyment of the game. If a game is being not managed well, and I'll go back to my friend and colleague and role model Joe Matchnick, who's doing the rules analysis for Fox. Joe made an interesting statement, and it was in regards to how the referee manages the game. The game can be managed in numerous ways, but we have to keep in mind of the things that I've just mentioned. But there was a situation where Switzerland was involved with an altercation, and it had to do with what happened earlier in the game. Things build up in the game that we don't see for face value, but the referee's right there. He's seeing the different things that are going on between the players, and the referee's got to manage all that. And sometimes when we'll see a card that comes out of nowhere, it's kind of how this referee is managing it. And we shouldn't get upset about that, because it's his responsibility to do it in a way that makes sense. He'll allow players to kind of give and take, but then at some point, he's got to draw the line. But the game is meant to be enjoyed. We need to enjoy it. We need to understand it from what the laws and the rules and what the role of the referee is. And then lastly, number 5, and we could spend a couple of hours, weeks, years on technology, the appropriate use of what I call Mr. VAR now, because we've got to give it the respect that it deserves. And certainly for offside and goal line technology, I think Mr. VAR is very essential, needed. The other things that we're seeing in this World Cup, and we've seen previous since the introduction of VAR, that there's a constant evolution of it. There's a lot of changes going on. There's a lot of verbiage that is being injected. A couple of the things that we've seen is going back in time of a game. We've seen a couple of goals and red cards given because now we've gone back 5, 6, 7 seconds to a previous play, and that has changed things. So I think I think that has to really get tightened up. And if you go back to the Balkan Red, the IFAB, the International Football Association Board, was talked about, and they're the ones responsible for interpreting this and writing the language and writing the new language of the laws and updating them and keeping them going. I mean, we started football from rugby in 1868, and there's been a constant progression of the game being different, evolving, and the rules have changed with that. And we don't want to go through all the different rule changes, but with this VAR, Mr. VAR, as I'm calling it now, we need to continually get better at it and figure it out and try to use it to the best of our ability. And in saying that, one of the pundits, Casper Schmeichel, another one of our goalies, and a quick shout out to all the goalies that have had hollers, and especially our young man, Matt Freeze, that, the goalkeeper union's got to stick together. If you've never been a goalkeeper, there's no way you know what that feels like when you give up a holler, and there's been a few. There's been some rebounds and that have gone a long way for teams progressing in the tournament. Casper Schmeichel said something that I'll end on, and this is my, appeal to everybody. Certainly focusing in our high school players and our coaches, but also every participant is. He made a statement. Refs know laws of the game, but they don't know the game. And I went, refs know the laws of the game, but they don't know the game. My counter to that would be, and I've always been a supporter and protector of the refs, because I think the refs are the 23rd man on the field, and then we have the 2 ARs and possibly a 4th assistant. They are so critical for the advancement and enjoyment of the game. If we don't have refs, if we constantly are on the refs, and we've fought this for the last decade, the attrition and losing good young referees is appalling. And it's a difficult job. So my thing is to players and coaches, make sure you know the laws of the game. Make sure you're keeping up with the changes in the game and how they're interpreted, especially with Mr. VAR, and how they continually affect the game, and that we can maintain the integrity and fairness, the respect, the safety, the enjoyment, because technology is here to stay. And then we can talk about the chip and the cord. That chip said that it didn't hit the cord. Well, maybe the chip's got to get a little better. So we're going to have to go back and look at that. And I'm not going to try to explain that to any English players, or but it's things happen. But always, our great young player Balogun, and how he showed a high level of respect for the game and the ref, and how he carried himself in his post-game press conferences and social media. And I want everybody to understand, make sure you know the rules. And we've all been there, where we get people from the sidelines and, this and that, but they don't know the rules or the laws of the game. And so it's imperative that the players know the rules of the game. and they're not misguided by what they're seeing out there going on this summer. So as always, all the World Cups have some great high points. A lot of stuff goes on in between the low points, and we just got to keep working at it. We got to keep a level head, and we as a national team got to get better. And we sure got better this time. Why we got beat by Belgium? I'll say Belgium, full credit to them. I think Rudy Garcia, the coach, put a great game plan together. They punched us in the nose a few times, and we never recovered. We're back on our heels, and we didn't recover. We can talk about all the other things, but that's what happened in my eyes. So there you have it, Mr. Kevin.
Well, Jimmy,
My take.
yes. I mean to tell you, what's so beauty of it is to be able to break bread with the fellow goalkeeper union and to talk about the beautiful game. You gave us a lot of food for thought about the essence of it is. And there you go, Jimmy.
We could complain and yell and scream and I'll tell you what, if I know the feeling of feeling like you got kind of, the nails put to you. But we gotta come back and play another game, and that's the beauty of it. There's always another game, and come back ready to play.
That's right. All right, Jim. You've been the top of the day for me, and I'm going to be walking in the shadow, in the sunlight of taking the high road. I'm going to be taking the high road, baby.
There's a lot of roads you can take, but I'll tell you what, from experience, it's a good road to take.
Yeah.
Can't go wrong.
And so there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Jimmy DiNobile at the United States National High School Champions League, starting 11 or thereabouts, with Jimmy DiNobile and Kevin Whalen. So long, Jimmy.
See ya.